Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Gabrielle Ray and I present cases of missing persons, the unidentified, and unsolved homicides. I just want to say that I know I haven't been on in the last couple months. I was actually going through something where I had no internet access and my computer was going through a lot of BS as always. So I just wanted to apologize, and I know I lost a couple followers and I would expect that. I mean, I hadn't been on or active in the last couple months, but I'm back, and I would just like to thank everybody who stuck around because, I'm still here, and I'm still caring about these missing people and these cold case victims and the unidentified just as much as I was in the past, if not more. As time goes on, my passion just grows for doing what I do. And one day, I just would love to help in any way I can solve some of these cases, if not just one of these cases, man. Help a family out. That's all I would like to do, not even for money, just for the pure elation of the family members and the victims of these horrible brazen cases. But today I'm going to be doing one of my Murdered in America series. I will be presenting the cases of Hakeem Joseph, Rose Consalvi, and Denise Horsey. Hakeem Joseph was found deceased on March 25th, 2015 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was 32 years old at his time of death, and his nickname was Sonny. He was a hard-working man, and he was trying to provide for himself and his 1.5-year-old son. His wife was pregnant at the time, said his friend, former mayoral candidate John Gomez. He was shot and killed while working at his family's store, the Tea Market, located at 1482 Reservoir Avenue. A masked gunman entered the store and fired multiple rounds at him. He was shot in the torso just before 8 o'clock a.m., and there was no attempt at a robbery. The photos of the suspect were released in November of 2015, and it is said that witnesses are not cooperating in this case. But in the video, a male of medium height and weight, wearing a desert camouflage and a black hooded sweatshirt and partial face covering, was seen walking up Trumbull Avenue towards Reservoir Avenue. He cut through a parking lot, passing a number of stores in the same small shopping plaza as the Tea Market, and surveillance video shows the male entering the store with one hand in his pocket and shortly after running out of the store. And he was only in the store for just moments. Many police cruisers and even police dogs were searching Trumbull Avenue and Reservoir Avenue after the shooting happened. He's a good man for no apparent reason. I send my condolences to the family. I promise him we will not rest until we can bring justice, said Police Chief Joseph L. Gaudet. A second shooting occurred nearby in 2015 on Chopsy Hill Road, where Jose Araujo was killed at a construction site. And it was believed that the killer was high on PCP at the time, and his name was Gregory Weathers, who was 33 years old. And he killed him at the construction site. And it was said by Gomez that he was a gentle giant in his own way, not in just his physical presence only, but in his character. And Gomez was also good friends with both Jose and Hakeem. We are being assisted by the FBI in this investigation to include the analysis of physical evidence collected at the scene, said Captain Roderick Porter. It's getting close to the 3rd anniversary in 2018, and we want to refresh it in the public's memory before it gets colder, said Porter. And they need the public's help to bring this family justice. Candles were lit in a memoriam outside of the Tea Market in memoriam of Hakeem, and also his services were held at a local mosque in the afternoon, soon after his murder. Hakeem's family is offering a $5,000 reward for any arrest or conviction and whoever knows any information about this case. He is the 4 of spades in the Connecticut cold case cards. And unfortunately, that is all the information that I could find on Hakeem Joseph's murder. But it is safe to say that this seemed like an absolutely wonderful man, and it seemed like he did a lot for his community. Just from the short articles that I read, he was a hard worker, and he was dedicated to his family's store, and he was working for his family. And his wife was pregnant at the time, and I mean, that's absolutely horrible. It's horrifying to even think about the fact that, somebody would come in and just take his life like that. It's brazen, it's bold, and not only that, but there's security cameras everywhere nowadays, and they just said F it. They didn't care, and they just went in and shot him anyway. And the fact that he is caught on such clear surveillance camera in these photos and in the video, somebody knows something, and it's about time that they come forward with some information. Just for this family's sake. How would they feel if it was their family who was shot and killed? Just doing their job. Not harming anybody. And how would they feel if somebody came in and just shot them and their family member? I mean, it's not fair. And it's about time that somebody comes forward and stands up and does the right thing. If you or anybody, have any information on this case, please contact the Cold Case Unit tip line at 860-548-0606. And there's a toll-free number at 1-866-623-8058. Or contact the Bridgeport Police Department at 203-581-5224. You can also write to the Cold Case Unit at P.O. Box 962 in Rocky Hill, Connecticut 06067. Once again, somebody please do the right thing and just come forward with some information if you have any. It's been 7 years too long. 7 years since this family has found out that their loved one has been killed. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's about time that somebody steps up to the plate. Rose Conselvi was found deceased on July 24th, 1979 in Berwick, Maine. She was 24 years old at the time of her death, and her parents were Jack Shargabian and Hazel Nickerson. She is from Malden, Massachusetts, and she lived at 51 Lisbon Street. She spent most of her time in Lynn, Lowell, or Malden, Massachusetts, and she was a known exotic dancer. Lynn and Malden are about 15 minutes away from each other, and her actual name was Rose Ann Fitzpatrick, and she only used the last name Consalvi sometimes. Her real last name is Fitzpatrick, and her maiden name is Shargabian. She was a nice girl. She loved horses, and she really wanted to buy a certain horse, an expensive horse. She went to work as a dancer because the money was good, said her stepmom. And on that fateful day, July 24th, she was found by a 9-year-old and her grandpa who were picking blueberries at 1:25 p.m. She was found deceased on the 25th, 24 hours after her death, and she was stabbed multiple times in her neck and torso. She was found in a wooded area off of Route 9 in North Berwick, and it was said that her body was discovered 75 feet south of Route 9. It did not appear that she was sexually assaulted, and her identity was traced through fingerprints on file by the Boston Police Department. Her body was identified by her brother. And originally, which this is really odd, but the fingerprint check yielded a different name than hers, and a random mother was called and was said that her daughter was deceased. But her mom realized that her daughter was misidentified, called back investigators, and told them in fact that she was still alive. And Lieutenant Reynold Lamontagne declined to say why her fingerprints were in the Boston police files. It was originally thought that she had no known ties to Maine, but she was part of a motorcycle gang that originated from Revere or Lowell, Massachusetts, and they frequently traveled to Maine. They were called the Devil's Disciples MC, and they were formed in 1996 in Massachusetts and had active locations in both Revere and Malden. Hell's Angels MC was also active at this time, and she was possibly murdered out of state and then dumped in Berwick. But it was also said that she was part of a motorcycle gang that was out of Lynn, Massachusetts, or Revere, Massachusetts, and they frequented the area of Maine, and that the crime scene leads us to believe that she was murdered here, said Pat Perino, the chief homicide coordinator, discounting the theory that she was dumped here. She was a petite girl. She weighed only 106 pounds, and I guess she got caught up with the wrong people, said her stepmom. And Lamontagne declined to say where she worked or what her stage name was because he says that it's crucial to the investigation. Her brother, John Shargabian, or JDS, died suddenly on February 17, 2010. Gately Funeral Service of Melrose was in charge of her funeral arrangements, and in 2019, police are taking a relook at the case. So luckily, it was not too long ago that they reopened this case. Unfortunately, that is all the information I could find on Miss Consalvi's murder, and unfortunately, there is also no picture of her online. There is a picture of her brother that I did put up, and there is an original news article, but that's about as far as it goes for pictures, and that really upsets me because, maybe even seeing a picture of this person could jog somebody's memory into saying, like, oh, hey, I did know her, she is very familiar, and possibly I saw her here, there, wherever, with this person, or these people, but things can't always go the way we'd like them to, and I feel that this investigation is very important to talk about, just for the sole fact that, it's been so long since she was found, and since she was killed, and her family's still out there looking for her, and little by little, her family is becoming deceased, or, they don't know much information, as they should. And that just really upsets me. So it's about time that somebody comes forward with some information, because these families don't deserve to go through the pain and the heartbreak that they go through, knowing that their loved one was killed and that nobody is saying a word about it. If you or anybody you know have any information on this case, please contact the Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit at 1-800-228-0857, which is the in-state number, or the out-of-state number at 207-624-7076. And their fax number is 207-657-5748. And you can also write to them at 1 Game Farm Road, Gray, Maine, 04039. Please come forward with some information on this young girl's death. I mean, she had so much life left to live. And it's so unfortunate that somebody had to cut that short. Despite lifestyle, or despite, getting involved with, people that might be not good for you. It doesn't mean that they should be murdered. It does not mean that they should have their lives taken the way they did. They're people. They're people just like you and me. And just because they lived their lives a little bit differently than some people would, it doesn't justify the fact that these people or persons took her life away from her. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's injustice to the family, to her. And it's about time that somebody gets charged with this horrific crime. Denise Horsey was found deceased on April 8, 2006 in Salisbury, Maryland. She was 40 years old and born on December 12, 1965. At approximately 6:15 a.m., police responded to the rear of 306 Naylor Street for a report of a female screaming for help. Upon arrival, police found her suffering from multiple stab wounds, and she was transported to Peninsula Regional Medical Center, where she was succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead. Her funeral was held at that following Saturday at 1 p.m. at St. James United Methodist Church in Westover, and the interment was at Waters Chapel United Methodist Church Cemetery. And that short amount of information is all that I could find on Denise's death. And that really makes me sad because she was a person just like us. And I understand that some information might be held close to the vest by police, but it might help knowing some more information for the public because they might be able to piece together more information and get that last piece of the puzzle right, get the ball rolling, and, just help out as best as they can. And I wish for the family's sake that we knew a little bit more, because I'd be able to present more information to the people that don't know about this case and people who want to know more, and they search about this case and they can't find any more information than what was presented. I think that's totally upsetting for us, for the family, for the community, for her friends, loved ones, etc. And not to mention, she was killed a violent death. And somebody knows something, and people need to start talking, because it's just not fair the way that these people were taken out. But if you or anybody you know have any information on her death, please contact the Salisbury Police Department at 410-548-3165 or call the Crime Solvers at 410-548-1776. I hate making these videos sometimes just for the sole fact that these people shouldn't even be featured in the video. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love doing what I do. I am so absolutely infatuated with helping family members and hoping to solve these terrible cases. Helping out at least one person. But the fact that I even have to present cases about them is absolutely heartbreaking. And they should be with their families right now. They should be living their life to the fullest. And unfortunately, they are deceased. And they are no longer able to live their lives the way they should. And one day, justice will be served. And I know it. I really, really, really want to say for sure that it will be solved, but we can't see the future, unfortunately. But it only takes one person to come forward and say, hey, I do know something about this. I know it's been a long time, but I was scared. You can remain anonymous. You can, just call in. Just write to them. You don't have to say your name. Just please help these families, because it's been years too long. And it's about time the justice is served and that they can have peace at night and can finally sleep, knowing that their loved one has, been at rest finally. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful night.